Hello and welcome to the Urban GardenHER YouTube channel. My name is Alexis and I am the Urban GardenHER. So today I'm always excited, but today I'm also especially excited because the weather has finally cooled down a little bit, even though today it was in like the 70s, but it's about to drop down and cooled off to the point where we can actually start planting our spring flower bulbs. So we are actually in almost like, I would consider it mid-November. And I wanted to plant out these spring bulbs like the beginning of November, maybe the end of October, but it was too hot outside. It has been in the 80s for the past couple weeks, which is very abnormally warm and for the DC area. We typically around this time of year are experiencing, we've had our first frost by this point. We would be experiencing like temperatures in the 40s and 50s, but it has been like in the 60s, 70s, 80s in the past couple of weeks, which is way too warm to plant out your spring flower bulbs, because you don't want your spring bulbs to be too, like the soil to be too hot to where it tricks them into starting to sprout and bloom. So you want them to chill for a certain amount of time. They have to have a chilling period, which is why it's best to plant your spring bulbs in the fall, because they have that cool weather in the winter time and the freeze and everything to where they can chill and just, cool off. um, don't necessarily know the science behind it. I probably should, but that's how you plant your spring bulbs, is in the fall, because of that cool time that they need, that period they need to cool off. But finally, the temperature has dropped. It dropped yesterday actually, but it warmed back up today. And I checked the forecast, and it looks to be consistently cooler in the 40s and 50s. So we're just gonna make sure, we're gonna go ahead and go with it and plant out our spring bulbs right now. I actually have my little helpers out here. It was a nice day outside, and I thought it would be a cool little fun, family activity with my girls, to plant some spring bulbs together. They actually, my oldest daughter helped me last year plant some, and she got to see the results of them. So now my second daughter, my youngest one, just a little toddler, now she can like play in the dirt and see how spring bulbs grow as well. We're not only planting our spring bulbs, but we're planting our spring bulbs in containers in what's called the lasagna bulb method. Yes, just like the lasagna, the pasta. So we are actually going to be doing this because the lasagna bulb planter allows for you to plant different type of bulbs by variety based on when they bloom and how they bloom. So we're going to layer each of them based on their variety into the container so that we can have a continuous bloom throughout the spring of different colors of the different spring bulbs. So we're first going to start off with our tulips, because tulips actually, they bloom later, and I think it's because they also have a longer stem than most of the other varieties that we're going to plant. We're also going to plant daffodils on top of the tulips because they have a long stem, and they come like in between February, March. And then above that, we're going to put the hyacinth bulbs, which are a lot bigger. And those bloom typically between, like, after the daffodils, right before April and right before Easter, and the tulip bulbs bloom. And then on top, we're going to plant the crocuses, which is the first thing that we're going to see pop up color in the springtime. And it is like the most beautiful arrangement you can see in the spring. And for me, I love flowers, and I hate waiting until the summertime to see my blooms. I like to see them all year round. So if I can find ways to plant blooms so that I have colors of flowers that have colors blooming between February all the way until October, November, then I'm going to do that. So that is why I like to plant spring bulbs. And I plant them in containers because I don't have a lot of space to commit to them, because you do not need to dedicate that space specifically for them. And so pots are usually my best bet, and I can move them around and place them in different places in the garden. It's just great. I'm looking forward to another round of them. I did it this year, and they were the most prettiest thing that I like could watch in the springtime, especially when you're anticipating gardening after a long winter time. We'll see how this winter looks this year, but it's a great thing to kick off the spring season, to have some spring bulbs blooming in your garden. So let's get started. So to start, let me just show you all the bulbs that I'll be planting or will be planting out today. I got a mix of them from different places. I got some from Lowe's. I got some from Holland's Bulb Farm. I forgot what it's called. I can put the link in the description. And then I also got some bulbs from Lidl. So I have a mix of different things. I have some crocus flowers, which are like little small bulbs that we're gonna plant, and I'll show you how to layer these. I have some daffodils, some hyacinths. I have this here. It's called a smoothie mix. This one was from the Holland Farm. Just another one from Holland Farm. It's fringe tulips. Some tulips that I got from Lidl. Some more tulips. Can't remember which ones these are. More fringe, looks like. I also have some saffron, which I'm gonna figure out where to put those as well. Some I can never pronounce them right, y'all. Ranunculus and some alliums. I don't know if I'm gonna plant where I'm gonna plant those at yet, but those are all the bulbs that I'll be planting out today. So as far as soil goes, I'm actually repurposing some old soil that I had from last spring bulbs. And I mean, to be honest, I mean, the dirt is fine. Like, I don't think that we need to get any new. I do have a new bag here of some potting soil, but that's essentially, if you don't have anything to start, try to get some potting soil because it's best. It just has the right mixture of amendments in them to provide, soil nutrients, soil moisture retention, all those different things that you need for a pot versus in a raised bed or in the ground. So we're going to start with just the soil that we have. And actually, there are some bulbs that are already in here that I'm going to take out because I'm not sure the life cycle of how long bulbs can grow. And if these are not mature enough to grow for this upcoming spring, then I will be upset if I let them in here. So we're going to actually wait until we're going to put these in another pot just to do an experiment to see how they look. But we're going to pull out some of the old bulbs that we had in here. I left these bulbs in here and I planted other flowers like on top of them from the summer. I'm trying to remember what else I put on top of these things, but I mean, they did just fine. They just, stayed underneath there and survived the entire summer. And, now we're back to dig them back up. Alrighty, ladies. You ready? All right. So what we're going to do is we're actually... Okay, you want gloves too. Let's get your gloves. Here. Everybody has gloves. If y'all looking for kids' gloves, these are on Amazon. I have them in my Amazon storefront. But yeah. You want to show them your gloves? Yeah. Here. Put your gloves right here. There you go. These are your garden gloves. Okay. Your garden gloves. Okay. But some they say help her. Why not? All right. So what we're gonna do is we're going to first start off with. You can either do daffodils or tulips. Daffodils are. We like gardening. You do. You can start off with daffodils because daffodils have a lot longer stem first. So you're going to put those probably at the base. Either those, between those or the tulips. So we're actually going to do the tulips first because that's what I remember doing last year. No. So tulip bulbs are actually, let me see which ones. These are tulip bulbs. So we're going to put these down. And when you're putting down your bulbs, you make sure that you start off with this. You put this at the base. This is where the roots will be. So you will put this down first, and we're going to make a little pattern. Yep, here you go. We're going to make a circle. You know how to make a circle? All right, let's make a circle of these. And which is the top? Show me what the top looks like. That's the top. Show them the top. Show them. Move your hand over here. Which side of the top? Where's the bottom? And we're going to put the bottom down and we're going to make a circle. So we're going to move this actually closer so you all can see what this looks like. All right, so you're going to put another one down. We're going to make a circle, a ring around the pot. Now let's make a circle. Okay? With the bottom down. Yep, you're doing it just right. And what's this thing? That is an old bulb. And let's space them out just a little bit. We don't need them super close. Just a little bit spaced out like that. Yeah. Yeah? Yep. Okay. All right, now we probably can use two more bulbs. Just put that down in. Oh, that one looks a little damaged. So if you get bulbs that look like this, I think we can make it work.
And this one is the same.
Okay, so get this one from your sister.
Where?
All right, now put it. That's the last one.
What about right here?
We don't need any more. We're gonna move this one over a little bit more. No, over this way. Right there. No, right here. Right here. Right here. There we go. All right, so now we can fill this up with some soil. So let's get some dirt. Uh-huh. And basically the rule is just to cover each layer with dirt so that, you know, you don't see it. That's okay. That's okay. We'll just have more flowers. Yeah, you're going to cover this up with soil, whatever layer you have, with some dirt. And then you're going to put the next layer on like a lasagna. Just exactly like lasagna. Okay, so the next bowl that we're going to put down, let's see. We covered these a little bit more. Okay, cover that a little bit more. The next one we're going to put down, and we have 30 of these bulbs. Yep, we're going to put them in here. So we're going to put, yeah, we're going to put, let's try to start off with 5 daffodil bulbs. Because we have 30. These are daffodil, and this is the bottom.
This is the bottom, this is the top.
That's right.
Okay. And you can't sit at the top.
Uh-huh, so show me how you're going to plant them in a circle. All right, and she's putting a final layer on top of the lasagna. I'm sorry, on top of the hyacinths. All right, so we have our final layer that we're going to do. We have our tulip bulbs that are in. We have our daffodils. We have our hyacinths. And now we are going to plant our crocuses. So crocuses are usually the first bulbs to sprout in the springtime. And they're super cute. As you can see, they're like little small blooms that come out in different colors. And we're going to go ahead and put these on the top. So you want to start?
Yeah. So small.
They're so small. Okay. And you could just spread these out. Like the funny thing or the cool thing about spring bulbs is that they don't really compete for space with one another. Somehow they don't. That is the bottom. Did I do it wrong? That's the top. Yep.
It's scary though.
It's okay.
It's supposed to be like this.
Yep, you're right. That's supposed to be. Here you go. Almost done. So we're going to put our last layer of dirt on top of it. Let's fill it up with dirt. Fill it up with dirt. So the thing to keep in mind about spring bulbs is that the time of year you plant them, squirrels are still feasting. They're looking for something to eat, and they like to eat spring bulbs. So you got to be careful about that and just monitor them, make sure they don't get dug up. Sometimes people put like a little barrier on top of them to prevent the squirrels from eating it, but I don't have anything to plant or put on top of them, so I'm just gonna keep an eye on it and make sure the squirrels don't come out and dig everything up, and we'll just water it down. Now some people put bone meal, which helps with root development for some type of bulb. Some people put actually some type of bulb fertilizer in the dirt where the spring bulbs are at, but to be honest, all the spring bulbs have the food that they need within the bulb, so you don't need fertilizer. At least I've never used it and it was fine. So this should be it. You're going to water this down and then we'll be done. All right, so we have just finished wrapping up planting all of our spring bulbs in our containers using the lasagna bulb method. Again, we started off with the tulips first, then on top of that layer we planted our daffodils. Above that, we planted our hyacinths, and the final top layer was crocuses. So I think we have enough to I have some alliums and some ranunculus that I haven't figured out where I'm going to put them. I also have some saffron bulbs that I have to find a place to put them as well. But this is literally what I'm going to be planting in all of these different containers. I'm excited. I love the color. I'm just like, I love seeing blooms all year round if I can. And from February until November, literally that's the time frame that I'm able to see some type of color in our garden, and this allows me to do that. So if you haven't checked already, so we're in DC and you can actually purchase a lot of these bulbs between now and sometime until spring, but they're actually on sale at a lot of places because some places like have been holding them because it's been so hot and people haven't been able to plant them. So you might be able to find these on clearance actually. A lot of places I saw some for like 75% off at one nursery. So now it's actually a really good time to get them. You can still plant your spring bulbs for your bulbs this fall for the spring. So check out your local nurseries to see if there's any bulbs there. There should be. And even garlic, now is a good time to plant your garlic. Even now it is actually cooling off a little bit now. So yeah. All right, you guys. So I hope that you all enjoy. Be sure to get out there and continue to garden as long as you can while we have this nice weather. And I look forward to the next time. And happy gardening.